Coffee stains and name chains. I am such a loner. San Francisco bases got me slowly taking over. I can't wait to show you that I'm gonna take it over. Lico, beast mode, 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 Lico, beast mode. This is not a main thing, really I'm a coder. Coffee stains and name chains, I am such a loner. San Francisco bases got me slowly taking over. I can't wait to show you that I'm gonna take it over. Lico, beast mode, 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 Lico, beast mode.
We live, we live.
This is not a main thing, really I'm a coder.
Sam, what up? Smurf.
Beast mode, Lico, beast
What up, what up?
Lico, beast mode, 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 Lico, beast
Pretty
mode.
much. Today we're gonna be. I have a friend. He has an interview at OpenAI, so we're gonna prep him up on system design. He hasn't really. He's a beginner to system design, so we'll see how it turns out. So let's just see how he does. Who here has done system design before? Chat, who here has done system design before? Cooked in my net. Oh, damn. You got an interview at Netflix? What'd they ask you? Shit, I hit my limit. Damn. Design a recommendation system? Okay, I got that one before too. That was crazy. Dude, just hop on. Perfect. What up, what up? We're doing system design prep. Waiting for my friend to join in. How's everyone's day today though? How's everyone doing? How's Yo, Rohit, what up? Yo, Camille, what's up, man?
Yo, what up, bro? What up? What
Long
up? What up?
time. How you doing?
Chilling, bro. Chilling,
Sorry, I
chilling.
can't see you because my. Hold on, let me turn on my. You ready?
Yo.
You've been grinding?
Uh low key. I mean, like, I've only done one mock like system design interview, and that was like yesterday with my other homie that doesn't know like system design. This is my first legit one, bro. So I'm ready to get
Legit? Why is this one legit?
bro, because it's you, man. It's you,
Okay.
it's James, bro. It's the man, the myth, the legend, bro.
All right. Let's get it. This should be fun. No, you're gonna get it. Someone said down three joints now up for the fourth. All right. Cool. We'll start this up right away. Wait, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Let me just reply to someone.
Now you're chill, you're chill.
How's your day?
It's all right, bro. I just hit the gym. Got back from that. I grabbed a wrap. What about you,
Yeah, I just hit the gym. Where'd you work out?
bro? At the YMCA.
Shit. Where's
Yeah,
that?
bro.
In the south?
In the Presidio, bro.
Oh, okay. I didn't even
Yeah,
know they had a YMCA.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I didn't
crazy.
either. I mean, it's pretty nice. The the like being there at sunset and stuff. Super pretty.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna send you this. How's the job hunt? Getting a lot of interviews? Well,
Uh,
actually, are you down to talk about it when the stream starts? You could just talk at a high level, like how the job market is and stuff.
I mean, for me, it's very different. I think because of my background,
Yeah.
like it's very easy for me to get interviews, but I think like it's very. I think like the public companies are a bit trickier. Like I think Fang is just like pretty cooked, but like the large private companies are pretty open
I
generally.
see.
Um,
Okay. Sounds
yeah,
good. All right. I'm gonna start this up. We'll keep it anonymous for you,
yeah. All
just so
right, we
they
can
don't
do
use.
that.
Yeah, just
Whatever
so
you
they
want.
don't. Yeah. Just so you don't leak, cause if you're interviewing place, I don't want you talking about leaking
Yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start this up. Wait, Joe, chat. How's the audio sounding? Perfect. Camille, say something. Let me just check your audio is all good.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up?
Cool. All right, so spin this up.
So you weren't live before?
I just got home. I walked all the way home. I thought it was gonna take like 20 minutes, but it took like 35.
Oh shit.
Yeah. What are you doing tonight? Are you gonna go out or just stay home?
It's Thursday night. What do you mean? Are you going out?
Maybe. I mean, Thursday night is when it starts. People go out.
Oh yeah? Where are you gonna go out,
I
bro?
don't know. I'll let you know if I go to a bar. Let me see.
All right. Let me know, yeah. Damn, I didn't know you were going out on Thursdays, bro.
Just to hang out. Just hang out.
Just to chill, yeah. Just to
Yeah.
chill, that makes sense. Yeah,
Like
I thought
keep
you
it
were going.
like a chill Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to New York next weekend.
Oh really?
Yeah. Citadel on site.
For for what? Just for fun?
For Citadel. Citadel on site.
Oh shit, that's crazy. Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about this. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, yeah. We can talk about whatever you want, man.
Bro. All right. All right. So, okay, let me start a video. Hey, everybody, so today we have somebody who has a lot of interviews coming up, a lot of really good interviews. I mean, which interviews do you have? I'll let you just talk about it and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about prep.
Yeah, man. So I've got a Citadel on site next Friday, flying out there on Thursday night. I have an Anthropic on site
Damn.
for one of their ML infrastructure teams. Um, Basically, like I guess whenever I haven't scheduled it yet. I have the OpenAI technical screen, and then I've got like a Replit on site and a Harvey on site. But I haven't like done, and then I've got a bunch of other phone screens that I didn't want to do
Yeah.
just because I'm kind of like going for the labs or quant, I guess. Um,
Yo, this man's on one. So you have Citadel, OpenAI, Anthropic. How'd you land all these interviews? Was it pretty easy, or the market is still cooked?
well, for me, man, like I think because of my background, I mean, I don't know how open you want me to be about that, but
I mean, yeah, you could be open about your background, whatever
yeah,
you want to share. You're the candidate.
yeah, it's just because like I don't know, you wanted me to be anonymous or whatnot,
No,
but
like it's up to
that's
you.
okay. Yeah, I mean, um, uh,
What's your background?
I started a
Polish?
company in my past. Yeah, bro. I started a company in my past, and that raised some money from some very prestigious investors. Let's put it that way. And then I also worked at some very prestigious companies when I was in college. And I guess the most recent company I worked at, some consider like pretty technically good.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and so because of all of that, I think it's been very easy for me to get interviews, even just cold applying. OpenAI reached out to me.
Yeah.
The rest I cold applied to. Like, oh no, Citadel was through a recruiter. OpenAI reached out to me. Anthropic I applied to. And then Replit was through a recruiter. Harvey reached out to me.
Nice.
And yeah, Stripe and Jane Street and all of those and XAI, I guess they came through different routes, but I
Holy,
didn't.
you got all those too?
Yeah, I
This guy
failed
got
the
everything.
I failed the XAI one, and I
Yeah.
failed the Jane Street one. But yeah, the Anthropic one, I grinded my ass off for it because I really want that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, so that's why I have the onsite for it. But yeah,
So
yeah.
what's the process at like something like Citadel? Was it like some phone screen? Then they pay for you to fly out. They put you in a hotel and everything.
Yeah. So for Citadel, I mean, bro, they got bread, so they just
Yeah,
like they splash money around.
yeah,
But yeah, it was like I talked to the external recruiter, then I talked to the internal recruiter, then I did two phone screens as a like two technical phone screens as like the tech screen.
yeah.
It was honestly like they didn't really expect the code to be working, but
Really?
they really, yeah, I mean, I think they wanted the vibe of it to be working,
Yeah.
but like Jane Street, on the other hand, it was like you could not execute the code,
Mm.
but you had to manually walk through each line of code and make sure that it was correct.
Yeah.
Citadel, they didn't really care about it being perfect, but they cared a lot about me being able to like gather requirements and like be optimal with my approach and like consider other approaches and stuff like
Mm.
that. But yeah, I mean, like one of the questions I executed and it was correct. So it was
Yeah.
fine. But the other one I didn't actually run the code and I still passed.
Oh wow. So they
Yeah,
had two for Citadel. They make you do Python or C plus plus or what?
I did Python. I don't remember if they would have made me, but I'm assuming they probably would have made me do
Nice.
one or the other. But I did Python, yeah, because like that's like my best language.
And what's the role there? Is just software engineer, like quantitative,
Uh,
whatever.
so there's three roles. It's like there's quant research, which is
Yeah.
like what people call quant when you hear
Yeah.
people say quant. Those are the bros that make the big bucks because they like create strategies that generate money for the company.
Yeah.
Then there's the quant devs, which I believe are the people that like make tools for the researchers.
Mm.
And then there's the software engineers that build like infrastructure, like underlying trade execution and things like that.
Yeah.
Technically, I think I'm interviewing for the quant developer role.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what I'm interviewing for.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
Good luck. So you're flying out on Thursday or next
next Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah. Next Thursday. Yeah.
What was the Anthropic like? What's the process for Anthropic and OpenAI? Just
Yeah.
curious. At a
Yeah.
high level, you don't have to talk about the exact questions, just in general.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
they put you through?
Anthropic. It's pretty standard. It's like recruiter call.
Yeah.
Um, then tech screen. It's just like a 1 hour like call. They do like a problem with you.
Yeah. Was it
Then
easy
on.
or not really?
I mean, for me, it was easy.
Yeah.
I also, maybe had seen some of the problems online before,
Yeah.
and so I kind of
You
like
did your preparation.
I did a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I breezed through it,
Nice.
and that's why I passed. But for the onsite, it's just another tech screen, system design. You talk to the hiring manager, and then culture interview. So it's also
Nice.
like super chill, I would say. Anthropic is the lightest weight one, and honestly, I feel like it's probably the most straightforward.
Yeah. What's
Surprisingly,
what's the next step for that one?
it's the onsite, so I have to like agree to basically the
Okay.
team that they matched me to,
Okay.
which is like an infrastructure team. I think it's new,
Nice.
like an ML infrastructure team, which I think is new. I was interested in doing that kind of stuff because
Yeah.
I started off in deep learning, and so I wanted to be. I feel like if you work at Anthropic and you work on like internal tools for like sales teams at Anthropic or some shit
Yeah.
like that, like what the fuck are you doing? Like I feel
Yeah.
like if you're working at Anthropic, you should be working on like the AI shit, right?
Yeah.
That's at least that's
100%.
my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And I think they were cool with it because of the stuff I'd done before.
Nice.
Yeah, let me join this shit.
Cool. So you don't have too much experience with system design. This is kind of the one you're more worried about.
Yeah, bro. With all the ones I'm doing, like I'm the most worried about this. Because I've only done like 2 system design interviews like with companies ever. And it was like I had no fucking idea what I was doing when I was studying. Can I swear by the way
Yeah,
or
you
no?
can say whatever.
Okay. Yeah, and then I like yeah, I like had no idea what I was doing. One of them was for Lyft a couple years ago, and then one of them was for Palantir when I was a new grad. I think I did not do well on either of them. Um, so yeah, with this, it's like, and I was doing the mock interview yesterday with my homie, and it was just like cooked, or today, and it was like kind of cooked.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I
What
feel
did
like
he ask you? I want to ask the
I
same
told him to
thing.
ask me. I told him to ask me to design Slack, and I had already like done design WhatsApp and like done like looked at like WebSockets and stuff. But it's still just hard because I feel like WebSockets are not something that most engineers kind of deal with day to day.
Yeah.
So wrapping my head around that, I think was like tricky.
So he asked
Uh,
you design Yelp, but then there's WebSockets?
no, design Slack.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got the real time messaging and things
I
like
see.
that.
I see. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're in here, right? So let's just get straight into it.
All right,
We're
bro.
we're gonna design Google Calendar.
Design Google Calendar. All right.
Spelled it wrong. There you go. Yeah, design Google Calendar.
I thought you were gonna cook me, bro. I thought you were gonna give me design Sora or something, bro. I'm like, bro, I'm cooked.
Let's just
All right,
see.
design
Like we
calendar.
can do more of we can do another one on the weekend. We'll ramp
All
it
right,
up. Let's see where you're at right now.
all right, all right. Yeah. So design Google Calendar. All right. So first, I think I'm gonna try and get the requirements, like the functional requirements. So I guess like when you say design Google Calendar, so do you mean that they should like be able to like create events and see events and like modify events? Is that kind of the high level like first step?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Basic functionality.
Okay. Um, okay. Okay. So create modified view. Let me think. What else is there? And they should be able to like share it with other participants, like other people, basically, right?
We can leave the sharing stuff alone for now. Maybe below the line, yeah. Like at the basic, just be able to be able to use a calendar.
Okay. Um, do we need to worry about like time zones and all that stuff?
What do you think?
I would say yes. Like adjusting the time zone of the of the UI, like when you're creating the form.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I guess like I guess just high level. I don't know if this matters necessarily, but the fields usually when you have an event are like the name of the event, the time of the event, like start time, end time, and then the you said we don't care about sharing, so it's I guess a personal calendar.
Yeah.
I think those, and then I guess maybe some additional metadata of a description. That's basically it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Name, start time, end time zone, description. Okay, cool. I'm trying to think if there's other things here because it sounds like you're simplifying it a lot. When we use Google Calendar, is there anything else? Do we want to be able to add attachments to the events or no? Like media?
Probably not.
No. Okay.
I don't really use that feature on my calendar.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's if we're not like sharing them with others, and I guess like security. Do we need to worry about security, like of seeing other people's calendars or not really?
Yeah, we shouldn't let you see anybody else's calendar.
Okay. Um, is this a web app or a mobile app, or is it like native?
It's is it a web app? It could be anything. You should be able to use it on any platform.
Okay.
But we don't need to worry about the client too much. Or what like yeah, why would that matter?
Just because if it was desktop, then you could store all the data on their machine, and so you wouldn't need to worry
Oh no, we
about
need to be able to access it from the
yeah.
web.
But if
If
you access it from the web, then that's different.
yeah. But
Okay.
the client doesn't really matter.
Okay. I guess what's the scale of the system too?
Let's say we're gonna have 1 million people on it.
A million? Like only a million users?
Yeah.
Like a
So
million daily active users, basically?
yeah, 1 million daily active users.
Okay. And so I guess I can just estimate like how many events that would be like created.
Sure.
Okay. Um, yeah, I guess let's say maybe
I
like
mean, what curious why that part's important right now.
the events.
Or yeah, the estimation.
Uh, I think just the scale of the system. Like if we, but I guess maybe we don't need to worry about that right now. Um, okay.
Or like what would that make you change in your design or like yeah. Why are you collecting that information?
I mean, eventually it would, because if we only have a million DAUs and then the events are also low, then we could theoretically store it without needing to do like a distributed system. Like we might not need a distributed system because modern databases hold a lot of data.
Mhm.
You could probably just vertically scale instead of needing to horizontally scale. But yeah, I guess we can cross that bridge when we get there. I'm assuming you don't want me to
Yeah.
just vertically scale.
Yeah, we could talk about 1 million daily and then talk about what happens when we scale it to like a billion
All right,
people after. But
all right. Yeah, okay. Let's get to. Does this all make sense? Is there anything else you wanted me to cover, or is this mostly like the?
okay, so creating, modifying events shouldn't let other people and then 1 million daily use on. I think that's fine.
Okay. Okay, for non-functional requirements, I guess let's think about cap theorem, and then latency, and then scalability. Um, okay. So, and I guess yeah, technically security. We already kind of talked about this. Um, okay, so for cap theorem, so I think we want availability. Um, we want like a high availability system. They should be able to see their um, they should be able to see their events before like get some sort of response rather than it need to be perfect. I think they're okay with waiting like a couple seconds for those changes to be propagated, but also it's not really like being shared with others, so that doesn't really matter. We can just store any local changes locally. Um, yeah, I think for latency, the calendar should load quickly. Should load quickly, and this should probably be like maybe less than 500 milliseconds or so. Event creation should also be fast um, as well, but I think that's again something we can just solve locally on the client. Worst case, and that should probably be yeah. Let's just call that also less than
What do you
500
mean by that? That you can just solve that in the client?
I mean, usually what you do like in in at least like web apps and yeah, at least like in web app development, um, even if the change hasn't propagated for the uh, like within the backend yet, like the write hasn't been committed and the response for your request hasn't been committed, you can just take whatever body you would have sent to the backend and render it within your UI framework of choice, so that the user believes that it's already been committed.
What if it never commits then? Then it looks like I created it, but it's not, right?
So you'd prefer to just have them be waiting before it commits?
I mean, yeah, there's a trade-off there though.
I see. I
I think
see.
because like you could show them it's on the calendar, but then they refresh it disappears. From a user experience perspective, that's
Okay.
kind of weird as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think your approach probably makes more sense then, for this case. So we can just maybe not
Makes
solve that.
sense though. Yeah. What about scalability and security part?
Yeah. So I think for scalability, we need to make sure, I guess, so this is going to be more read heavy than write heavy. People are going to be checking their calendars a lot more than they're going to be like writing events to them. So I think we probably want to just be able to scale to like a lot of peak usage. Like if there's like a lot of people checking their calendar at the same time, peak throughput, which I guess would probably be like, I don't know, maybe like if all of them are checking it, yeah, like a million at once, reads at once. Scale reads, but yeah, something like that. And then yeah, I mean the non-functional requirements of security, like you shouldn't let them see other people's calendar. I mean that's kind of implicit, so I don't know if we need to include that. And I guess specifically for
I
this,
mean, I think we should include that there.
you still want to include it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Are we still like? Are we including like authorization and authentication in that
We'll
case?
talk about it for like 2 minutes
Okay.
for security portion.
Um, I mean, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not sure what the different like if we're not worried about like the authentication authorization yet, and we already know that we're not sharing with other people, and we've already talked about shouldn't let other people see other people's calendars. I'm not sure what else there would be to note down with the security for now.
Yeah. I think it's mainly just one thing is security as in I mean nobody else can see your events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I guess I'll just leave it, but I guess we've already covered that. Trying to think if there's
Right,
anything.
like I think it's more of a non-functional requirements. I know you included it up there, but that's
I
kind
see.
of
I
why I
see.
want you to bring it up. Or
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me just move that there then.
like it's not really a feature, but it's like something we just want in our system. It should
Yeah.
just definitely be secure.
Okay. Okay. Um. Uh. Okay. I know in Google you can make certain events public and you can make certain events private. We're not doing that. We're for now, right? We're just gonna default to every event as
Uh,
private.
I mean, add that below the line in case. Like, add some features you think that would be nice to have, but we'll see if we get there.
Okay.
Like, is there any other functional requirements you think you're missing there? Think about the
Yeah.
Google Calendar hard. Yeah. There's one other functional requirement I kind of want you to think of. Testing your product sense. You create modify view events, yeah. Like,
Is it like different? It's not like being able to view it in different view different like view it in different like time granularities, right? Like daily versus weekly versus monthly. Like that's more of a front end thing.
yeah,
Like there's
that's still a good feature to have, I think. Yeah, that's a good functional requirement to have. Like different views, daily, weekly.
okay.
There's another like what
Uh,
the type
yeah,
of
yeah.
event.
Oh, the type of event? Uh like whether it's a work event or like a public or private event, like
Or like what if it's a one-on-one
a one on one.
that you want recurring? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
recurring
Yeah,
events.
recurring
Okay, okay,
events.
okay. Yeah, recurring events. Yeah. Okay. Whoops.
Th- I want that as a functional like yeah, above the line. Yeah. So we could schedule one-off events, but recurring events are also very important with Google with calendars. If you don't
Yep.
have that, then you're missing a lot.
Yep. That's true.
But
Okay.
cool. All right, let's get into the next step. I think that's a good set of functional requirements. I would
Okay.
put daily, weekly, and monthly above the line as well.
Views. The
Yeah,
views.
yeah.
Okay.
You could probably handle that real quick, but let's see.
Okay. I mean that's like a front end thing, I guess. But okay, cool. And then yeah, okay. So I guess the next thing would be the like not the data models. It's like the I guess like the high level objects that we're gonna work with. And I think that's just the user. There's A user can only have one calendar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a user, and then there's events. And then I guess you can make the event recurring or not. Okay. I don't think you need anything else. I think you just need users, and each user has an event within their calendar. There's only one calendar. Yeah, there's no metadata we need to add to the calendar in that case, right? Like we're only like a calendar is just a set of events. There's no other metadata.
Sorry, repeat that.
Do we want any other metadata for a calendar besides the events?
I think it's fine to
Okay.
just like we don't need attachments or anything. Most of the time when you see an event, it just has text, right? Maybe it has some links, but I don't really see like images.
I guess I more so mean like the calendar's name and stuff like that. But there's only one calendar, so I guess we don't need that. Okay, so I think this is probably fine. We can. Oh yeah, this is core entities. That's what this is called, core entities. And then I think we can talk about APIs. So, so what we have is we want to create, modify, and view events. So we want to, for creating, we would just probably have a post request for events. And then the body would just be, I guess, the name. And then we'd have the start time as a timestamp, the end time as a timestamp. Do you want me to go into this level of detail, by the way, for the APIs, or can I just stub them out more?
No, I want you to go into detail. So you have a post events. You're gonna pass in the name, start time, end time.
I guess maybe it's easier to just put it as a string.
String of what?
So I guess there's a few ways of doing this. The string would be like an ISO timestamp. So it'd be like the date, month, year, and then the actual time, like hours, months, seconds, and then optionally sometimes you can include the time zone, and sometimes you don't. Usually just in UTC. If it's in UTC, then you could just put the time zone in as well. That makes it easier. So yeah, I guess if we're doing it that way, then it might make it easier to just pass it in as UTC, and then you have the time zone here. Yeah, and so then
wait, say it again. So you're gonna have a UTC and a time zone?
So usually, like I worked on a calendar product at my last company. The way that at least the time zones were or the timestamps were serialized there is you pass everything in as UTC, and then you kind of figure out the front end and back end kind of like know what the time zone is, or there's like other entities that know what the time zone is that you convert it to. I guess it's optional whether or not you want to pass the time zone within that string itself, or if you want to keep everything as UTC. But usually like timestamps and systems are stored in UTC rather than as like the.
Okay, so the string here is gonna be a UTC or a date. Like, what did you pick?
Yeah, so I think maybe we can just have this be a UTC. This is like ISO formatted timestamp in UTC. So it's like year, month, date, and then I think it's like hours, min, seconds.
Okay, so what's UTC again?
It's just the time zone that is like has no offsets. It's the base time zone. It's basically like it's the time zone they have in Great Britain, and typically that's what's used in most systems because there's no like offset, and then the offsets usually happen like when you convert times into different time zones. You base it off of that.
Makes sense. Okay, so are we keeping time zone?
I think it makes sense to keep time zone if we're keeping UTC, unless we wanted to have the calendar be the time zone, but like the calendar have some sort of time zone. But I think it's easier to just have events associated with time zones because usually that's works even in Google Calendar.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. Yeah, and so this would just return, I guess, an event. And then for modifying events, so this is I think we can maybe just do a put. And then this would be yeah, the same kind of details as above. And so yeah, this would be for the event ID. And I guess something I haven't talked about yet is I'm not including a user ID here anywhere. That's because this would be just included as a JWT or a session token within the request, because it's not secure to pass it in the request body, because the user can like maliciously manipulate that. Yeah, just thought I'd call that out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
I
the
mean,
next.
just define the headers then, because you're just defining the body. Also define header section for each of these.
Okay. Like you want me to actually define like the actual header like key value?
Yeah, like with the post request, what are the different parts of a post request? I'll ask that as a trivia type question. Or just any request. Yeah.
There's the headers, there's the body, there's the verb.
Okay.
I guess there's like the endpoint, like route that you're calling.
What else?
The response.
What else? How do you filter for stuff? Like if
How do
it's
you filter?
like if you have a get request, how do you filter for like you like query parameters essentially I'm getting at, and path parameters.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But you don't really use those in post requests usually, right?
Well, like for get requests and stuff.
Yeah, for get requests, yeah.
Yeah. But I think or I was saying in general, like what are the different parts of an API request? But
there's still more. There's still
or
more.
no, those are it. But all I'm
Okay.
saying is like what, just write all of them out. Like if you have a post request, write the headers and the
Okay.
etc. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I'm kind of fudging this one. I think it's like authorization. I think it's this. I think this is the key, and then the value would just be the JWT or the session token.
Okay.
I believe that's what it is. And then applies elsewhere. Applies elsewhere. Okay, and so that's for modifying events, and then for viewing events, we just want a get request. So that would be /event/event ID event, and then that's it. I don't think we need to have a. I guess technically, based on like the calendar, we would want like a start date and an end date, or a start time and end time. Equals this, and then end time equals that. Yeah. And I guess you can view it in time zone as well. Yeah, so we could also just pass the time zone into. That I think makes sense. Usually that's how it works. Yeah, okay, so that's view, modify, create.
So you want the backend to make the time zone change?
Well, it's more like you need when you're fetching the events based on the time zone, or when you're fetching the events based on like timestamps, if you don't include the time zone and you're just going based off of UTC, unless the client has already converted, I guess there's two options. You can either just pass in raw UTC and have already converted the time zone, and then convert it to the time zone on the front end, and then pass it to the back end. And even though it gets converted back to UTC, the underlying timestamp is still the one you want for the start and end time. Or you can just pass it as some UTC value, and then have the back end convert it. I guess in this case, it makes more sense to do it the other way though, without needing to pass in the time zone, because I guess you just have to make the assumption that the client will have already converted it. the timestamps to the correct time zone. Yeah, I guess that's kind of what we would do there.
Okay. So what does this thing return?
I guess that would return a list of events. Yeah, and then we have recurrent. Okay, so for any platform, doesn't matter. The views I already kind of took care of with that, and then recurring events. So I think we probably would need to do that like in the post request. So I guess recurs. Do you want to have it be like daily, weekly, monthly, or also like custom, like every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday? Like how custom do you want the
We
recurring?
can just have it like daily, month, weekly, or monthly.
Okay. And then I guess this would just be. Um, all right. Yeah, and then I guess that would also be included here. All right. Yeah, so I think this is high level what the APIs would look like, and I think that covers all of our functional requirements. Yeah. Is there anything? What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
I think it makes sense. I mean, the take a look at that get request again and just analyze it and see if there's anything off about it.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess when we're fetching events from the back end, or I guess like when the client looks at when a user looks at their calendar, they're either looking at daily, weekly, or monthly. We don't need to worry about pagination because there's only like at most, I guess, realistically like a couple dozen events, even if they're all short. Even if it's monthly, it's maybe like a couple hundred. So yeah, we don't need to worry about pagination. The time zone, if you're already converting it, that's fine. The user authentication, that's already taken care of. Oh, I guess we don't need the event ID. We just need, so I guess this would be for a list of events. And then I guess we want for a specific event as well.
Yeah.
We want to get both. Cool.
That also okay. That makes more sense. Cool. Let's move on to the next step.
Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build the actual system. So let's start with this. So this is just the client. And then we can have, well, we only have 1 million, with 1 million daily active users. Yeah, I guess we can figure out the math for it. For now, let's just have like, yeah, for now, let's just put the API gateway here. This will handle any of the middleware that we need, like routing and rate limiting and authentication and that sort of stuff. And then we would have, I guess let's first take care of the creation of the calendar events. So we can have, I guess for now, we can just call this the event service. And then we would also have a database that would store our events. And so this is all of the information that we would need. Yeah, and then or this would just be a DB, and then we have an event. If we make that align this way, so we would have an event has the data we talked about. So it has an ID, name, start time. That's a string, an end time, and then and then yeah, time zone. Or no, wait, I think we don't need to have a time zone. Let me think about this. I guess technically, no, we do need to have a time zone. Yeah, we do need to have a time zone. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think time zone's that important. Cause like I have a Google Calendar. I make an event for like I'm in PST and I make an event, and then I go travel to New York. Then when I read it down, it should just be what in whatever time zone, regardless of where I'm at, right?
You're saying it should be in your browser's time zone by default, right?
I feel like it should just be a user preference setting, so it should just store it in like the most primitive value it can be, which is a UTC, and then wherever I'm traveling to, it'll just read my system settings and figure out and like convert it.
I guess the reason why I pushed back on that originally is because like when I was scheduling my on-site for Citadel, like it came in as EST and it renders to me in PST. But the
Yeah,
event still knows that it's an EST like as a default, right? But you can't get that information if you don't have the time zone there.
I
If you
see.
want that as a preference thing, and it just default renders like in whatever time zone they're in, that's totally chill. That makes it a lot
Yeah,
easier.
that
I
makes
guess
sense.
kind of what my original thinking was. But yeah, I'm happy to do it
Okay.
the other way. Um, yeah, and then I guess we'd have the recurs every kind of thing, and then this would be. Do we want to have the ability to like split off the recurrence of the events? Like, as in, you can modify a recurring event, but it only applies to that specific date.
Yeah.
You want
No,
that?
no, not really. We can figure
No?
that out.
Okay, then I guess
Shouldn't.
it's
Yeah, it's not that important.
all right. Yeah, this is pretty chill then. I think this is a fine way. So I guess to explain the way this works. So when we're creating an event, yeah, to just start with creating an event, when the user creates an event, they'll, on their form within the UI, like fill that out. We send the post request that we defined over here, post slash events. I guess I can write that out. Post slash events. Or no, wait, yeah, this would be, yeah, actually, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
can just talk about it.
yeah, the post, yeah, so the request would go and then uh, uh, get routed by the API gateway to a server that's available to execute it, which has the event service on it. And the event service will basically just like, I guess, perform any basic input validation on the data that came in, and then write it to the DB as a new record that contains that event, and then return that event to the user. So that's the first step. That's creating an event. For updating event, we can probably just follow a very similar flow. I think because it's also like a write, and it's also on the same data model, we don't need to worry about. I guess we don't need to split it off necessarily into its own separate service. We can just have it follow the same path with slightly different logic and apply the same sort of um, validations before we write to the database again and then return. I guess whether the update was successful or not. Yeah, and then the last part is reading events. There's an argument to be made that you could split this off since like one is very write heavy and one is very read heavy. I think since both of them are hitting the same data model, we don't necessarily need to split them off. I think it can be easier if we're orienting this as a service architecture to just keep them in one because they're related enough. Um, and then in that case, yeah, we would just follow the same sort of thing. When we're pulling events, um, we would, I guess, like if we're using, I mean, pretty much any database, but I guess if we're using SQL, for example, we would just do a range query, like a basic range query to pull the events for within that range. And because we're passing them into as the timestamp that's already converted, it'll be pulling the correct uh, events that the user requested, and then the client can just render it however we want to in the browser's time zone. And then I guess the same sort of thing applies with the get request to get a single event when they're like clicking on a single event and looking into the details of it. So that's high level. I think the first thing. In terms of making sure that, so that I think though that covers basically all of the functional requirements there. If you're using it on any platform, I don't think it should matter because uh, every client will be accessing the same service. And then daily versus weekly versus monthly views. I mean, that's already kind of handled for within our get requests here.
Yeah.
Um, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
Let's say what are things that could be slow in our system here? Let's try to identify weak points in your
uh,
architecture.
yeah, yeah. So I think, so I think we could, in terms of like handling more requests, we can always just add more. We can scale the service like horizontally pretty easily, like the actual like servers, and it should be fine because it's stateless. I think the slowness is mostly going to come from like anything related to the database, like writing and reading to the database, because this is a more read heavy system and not as much of a write heavy system. I think that's where most of the slowness is going to come from. There's a few ways that we can handle that. The simplest one is just to add indexes onto the events, and I guess specifically like probably like the start time and the end time. You add an index and then add an index.
What happens if you don't have an index there?
If you don't have an index,
Yeah.
um, I mean, it'll just be slower, right? Because you haven't already like reduced the search time
Why
for
why
that.
would it be slower? Like, why
Why would it be slower?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're using SQL, like a SQL database, um, you're using like they typically use like B tree indexing, which forms like a binary tree for that specific field, which makes it like a log-n operation instead of having to do a full database scan to find like events within that range. But if you have an index, then it reduces the search time, I guess, to be log-n instead of like n
Mm.
for those fields.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're gonna index like so what when we add index what is that gonna speed up specifically? Which API endpoints?
Um, yeah, so I guess I mean we probably need like these as well. But yeah, that so for that one, it's gonna speed up the first fetch, like rendering all of the events, and then the and then the like I mean technically this is a primary key, PK. I think because it's a primary key, we can also just fetch it faster. But yeah, the because we have that, then it'll speed up the read request when we're loading in the calendar or
Yeah.
any sort of thing like that. And then I guess by having it as the primary key, the ID, then we're also loading in the specific event details faster as well.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I think this still might not be enough though.
So you sped up the reads on the DB, right?
Yeah,
So let's just say we have only have 1 million active users, but they're like power users, so we're getting 1 billion reads.
1 billion reads. Okay.
Like a crap ton of reads that's gonna overload the database. What are different ways that we could like improve the database performance or stop it from
So
getting overloaded?
you're saying like 1 billion reads like per day, basically, right?
Yeah, just general, or
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be a specific number.
like just like a lot, like a
Yeah,
lot
just
of
like
reads.
we have
Okay.
a lot of reads right now. We're
Okay. Yeah, so I think there's a few approaches we can take. We can either like shard. Um, so there's a few approaches. We can either shard the database. Um, we can add read replicas to the database, or we can add caching as like a cache aside kind of model, where we'll just hit the cache first and then we'll hit the database after. I think because we're going with the eventually consistent model, we've kind of agreed upon that. Adding read replicas is probably a pretty easy thing to do as a first step, um, and then adding, I guess if that's not enough and we want to scale this more, then the we can also add a cache The caching for this is a little bit more complex because technically you're caching by like you have these ranges of values. It's not necessarily um, just the individual um, just the individual events. And so I think let me think about how I would handle that. I think technically because we only have three different views, we have daily views, weekly views, and monthly views. We can probably just have like a cache that has for each user, I guess for each of these like. So you said we have power users basically, right? It's not that all of the users are going to be performing like tons of reads.
Yeah.
It's just only like a
But
percentage of them,
but
right?
I think I'm fine with the read replicas. That's a good decision from
It's good
my
enough.
perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. So where else can it break down? What are the other bottlenecks?
So I already said that we can like horizontally scale, I guess the servers themselves, um, and then that would pretty much that would cover a lot of things because we're not, um, yeah, we're because there's it's stateless. Like when you're performing these reads, um, and there's not necessarily like I don't think you need to worry about like weird like concurrency erase condition kind of issues because it's only one user writing to one calendar. So that should be straightforward. The only other slowness, I guess, is on writes. When users are writing events, I deprioritize that initially because we this is more read heavy. Like users aren't creating events as often. But if you want me to think about how to scale those, like I can think about that.
That's fine. So we have the event service. Okay. I guess so how are we gonna figure out what event service to is gonna handle the request?
Which event service is going to handle the like as in like how is the API gateway going to route it to which event
Yeah.
service? Um, like you're asking like which load balancing algorithm I'm going to use, like round robin versus like the
Yeah,
like
like
connections or whatnot.
yeah, sure. Like what are the different ways that it could route it?
Um, so as far as I'm aware, there's I think the most popular ones are like round robin, least connections. Um, I don't think least recently used applies here. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think round robin and least connections are probably like the two most common that we can choose from, right?
Yeah. Okay, could you explain quickly how the read replica works more in depth? So how does it handle writes and reads and etc.?
Yeah,
Cuz
yeah. So I guess like uh yeah, so one thing we can do, I guess if we're talking about like the read replicas, so usually we have like a master slave. We could have a master slave kind of system if we're using, I guess, SQL. Where there's one master that performs the writes, like that handles the writes, and I think that's fine given the low volume. And then we would have like a bunch of read replicas that eventually get those updates from the write database um, or the write instance of the database. And then when that master fails, then one of the read one of the read replicas would just take over. That's high level, I guess, how master slave replication works when you have like a leader.
mm. So where do writes go?
Where do
You
writes go
mentioned that.
when?
Yeah. What with the architecture, with the master slave, where do the writes go?
The writes go to the master and then they get propagated to the slave for eventual consistency.
Okay. So what if I go right to the database, right? And then I go and I read and it reads from one of the slaves that didn't get the copy. How are you gonna handle that case?
Are you not okay with eventual consistency?
Or I'm just wondering if how you can handle that case.
Um,
If you can think of ways, because imagine I write to the database, I put an event, it says successful, right?
yeah,
Then I reload, and then for some reason I connect to one of the workers that doesn't have the copy, and then it
yeah.
looks like my event disappeared.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess what I was mentioning earlier is one approach to deal with it. Like you can just have a client-side cache, like either in local storage, like on their browser or something like
Mm,
that. Uh,
makes sense.
yeah, that's like the simplest way to handle that issue without like dealing with any weird latency issues.
Okay, sounds good. So the last part is how are we gonna handle recurring events? Like more specifically, let's dive deep into that. And make sure that you modeled the data correctly.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess with uh with the recurring with the recurs every issue, um because we don't care about having different events that have been modified uh like away from the original one, we don't necessarily need to have them be like separate events, like separate event records that we just create. We can just have this be like daily, weekly, monthly, and then when it gets, oh, I guess the issue would be, I think I see what you're talking about. When we're doing this read here, we don't necessarily know whether or not the event is going to be there because it's going to be from this range. But this it's based on these fields, but it's not actually there yet. It wouldn't be like if this is like today and then you're performing this query like a month from now, you're actually not going to fetch that if it's like a recurring daily event in that month from now view if you're viewing it from the weekly view. I think that's the problem you're alluding to. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess the simplest way to fix that is um, you would just have um, you would create. I guess you could create events for every single date, and then uh, yeah, the simplest. Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll walk through a couple of approaches.
Sure.
Yeah, the simplest approach is just you would have like a base event. Well, actually, okay. In the UI, do we want to allow them to be able to modify their recurringness for each of the events, or only from the base event?
Yeah, I should be able to like it's a recurring event and move it from daily at 1 p.m. to daily to 3 p.m. And it should kind of move all the ones ahead of it should also move.
Okay, okay.
I mean,
Um,
like it should be like, do you want to change this event or do you want to change all of this event? You've
yeah,
seen
yeah,
that
yeah,
feature, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess I talked about that earlier, and you said that we didn't need to worry about like changing individual events away from the.
Well, maybe not individual, but we want to handle the second case where we want to move this recurring event from daily 1 p.m. to maybe daily at 5 p.m.
Yeah, yeah. And then like all of the events basically would change, right?
Exactly.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. Maybe we need to change the data modeling then. Um, okay, yeah. So I think the simplest thing would be, sorry, I think I heard some weird noise. I don't know if that was me.
No, I think somebody's drilling something near my
Okay,
apartment.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, the simplest thing would be to just create duplicate events. And then I guess maybe you could have the like like master master event ID, and then this is also optional, and then this would be just like another event ID. Yeah, so I guess the way I'm thinking about it would be if you make an adjustment to an event and it's a recurring event. So when you create an event and it's a recurring event, you would create individual event records for all of that. Well, I guess you do we want to also have it be like ends at, like does it end or no?
Wait, sorry, repeat that?
Can we have the event like end at some point or no? If it's
Yeah, we
recurring,
could
or
we could we could have it like 10 occurrences.
is that
But you
like
should also have infinite.
infinite?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes things a bit trickier, I guess.
We could just say I want this daily one-on-one for. I mean, you just don't set it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm having trouble figuring out how to do this without blowing up the database with records.
So wait, what are you scared of right now, or like what's going through your head of like where this would break down?
Yeah, so my original like silly approach was just like create a bunch of events that are the same, I guess like duplicates, but at different times. And then you'd have a master event ID that if this event ID gets pulled from and you want to make a change to it, you would just make a change to that master event ID. And then I guess like that would then, I guess, somehow propagate a change to all of the other events. But the problem is that you can't like to all other events with that master event ID. Basically, that would be like the way that you would do it. But the the problem is that I don't know if you can just like create a bunch of these events based on the recurring, like how often it recurs, because then you blow up the amount of data if it's an infinitely recurring event and there's no like end time to it. And so in that case, like I'm kind of like, okay, well, this is kind of tricky. I don't really know how to get around it
Yeah.
um, without like having some sort of other proxy. Because you either need to change the way that you're querying data on the front end, or I need to change it so that there's like some sort of proxy where even if it's not the event within that time, it's still um, yeah, it's still there. Maybe we need a different data model altogether. Um, maybe maybe the way it would work instead is you would pull the so when you're making this query, maybe I guess we can do it on the business logic side. When you're making a query uh, for this get request for the time ranges, you would just keep it as like one event, um, but you instead of like having a bunch of different events, you would make one query to get like all of the events that are directly within that range, and then you'd have like another function that would pull all of the recurring events that are still like active at that time, and that, or I guess you just pull all the recurring events for that user, and then you would propagate them out to see if they're still like if there are any that would occur within this time range that you've requested, and then return those.
Hmm.
And then now we have the base ID for that event. So when the user makes any changes, that will change all of them automatically. And then when they get pulled back, that would also work. Um, I think that approach is fine as long as we're not allowing changes to specific events and we're making a change for like all of the events
Yeah.
as soon as you make it.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. We're pretty much at an hour, so let's debrief. Like, how do you? What do you think? How did
That
that
went better
go?
than the other one that I did, I would
Yeah.
say, but that's because you gave me a way easier problem.
Hmm.
Uh, I think I should have been able to catch the recurring thing myself. Um, uh, yeah, I think I should have been able to catch that. Yeah, there were a few things that I missed on the functional requirements. Um, you kind of had to nudge me along in a few different places, even with the API thing.
Hmm.
Like there was clearly like a lack of like technical depth for some of the basics about like how like a request works. Um, yeah, and I had a little like slip up where I was just kind of like, oh, there's like the like I guess this is fine, but I had the event ID there, but they should really be
Yeah.
two separate ones because I didn't like actually read it. I was just like, okay, cool, like I'm
Yeah.
good to go, I guess, because I have this like range thing. Um, Yeah, I think
So
that's kind of what I would say. I guess maybe if I wanted to go for like a senior level, I would probably need to lead some of the more like issue, like finding issues with my own design as I go myself, rather than like having you needing to like guide me and stuff. I would assume,
yeah,
but again, I don't know how these design interviews work.
yeah. I think yeah, you covered a lot of this stuff. The main part is just digging a little bit deeper. So let me just go through some of the feedback. I think the first one is on the functional requirements. You listed out some good ones, but I had to help on some of them. But I think for more senior, you'd probably guide want to guide this more. I think yeah, any platform didn't really matter for this, so that's also one thing. Um, but those are small issues. I think the main issue is that you started talking about non-functional requirements during the functional, like the number of daily active users. That's more about a scalability, uh, availability thing. That's the non-functional requirement that it should handle a certain amount of scale, right?
Yeah,
So the functional requirements should just be the features, create, modify, view events daily, supporting recurring events, right? Even like platform agnostic is a non-functional requirement. And yeah, so so I would just say when you talk about functional requirements, stick to the functional requirements and don't mention non-functional requirements until you get here. Does that make
okay,
sense?
yep,
Nice. And then okay, and then you also talked about more reads and writes. I think the UTC and time zone stuff, it makes you kind of I would just have a better opinion on it and some better reasons. But yeah, I think you kind of mentioned it, but then you didn't really choose which one. You kind of left it in a state where you had both. With the core entities, yeah, like one way to I knew right away that it was you're gonna run into that recurring event issue with the event modeling it like this. One way to model it is just having a recurring event,
yeah, yep,
like you
yep,
mentioned, and then that doesn't really have like start and end, but maybe it'll say weekly starting on like a certain day. And like you mentioned it at the very end, but it took I had to ask about it.
yeah. I had that in my mind when I was thinking about when I was writing out the core entities, but I was just like, we can probably just handle it within the event. But I think that's because I didn't think it far through enough.
Yeah. So definitely think that part through. Yeah, this one's kind of tricky. The first time I ever asked that, it took me a while to figure that out. Yeah, when it comes to the APIs, just be more structured and don't make too many mistakes here. When you have the APIs, define the verb, the path, what it's going to return, the headers, the body, query parameters, path parameters, all that stuff matters, right? So you defined it well here, but then you left in like the path parameter, and that threw me off. Like I wrote that in my notes when you
Yeah,
initially did that.
yeah,
So yeah, just be very formal here and make sure that when you write the APIs that it's not messy because it was a bit messy right here.
yeah, yeah.
Also, you mentioned like storing UTC, but then also storing time zone, which didn't make that much sense because UTC is like standardized.
It's literally because of the reason I mentioned, man. Like the at uh at the last company I was at when I was working on this like time zone stuff, um, usually if the objects were stored in UTC and then you'd convert them to a time zone based on like another data model.
In the front end though, right? Or no?
No,
Or
like
in the
so
API?
it's like either based on it'd be like a weird structure where the user can select a time zone, but if they don't, then it gets pulled from like another data model that it's a part of, which isn't necessarily. Do you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I
at
think
Rippling, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say like because you did this a couple of times where you said, "Oh, like my last company we would do this or we would do that." I think it's not really good to say that. More just like because you're just saying, "Oh, they just did it this way, that's why I'm going to do it." More just talking about it in first principles of, "Oh, we should do this because these are the trade-offs." You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because if you just mentioned, oh, we just did this at a previous company, so this is why I decided to do that. It's not as good of a reason.
I guess I'm more so what I was trying to convey is like they did it in this way that like we're doing here, right?
Yeah,
Where you have it as the start time and the end time, and then somehow you pull out the time zone from some other random
yeah,
part of the system,
yeah.
or via the client, like when they choose a time zone.
That
And I
makes
was
sense.
thinking that it makes more sense to just, especially if you're allowing the client to select a time zone, to also make that as well. Like if you allow them to select a time zone for a specific event, it makes sense to do it
Yeah,
that way.
makes
But
sense. Yeah,
yeah, for the ease of the system to just not do that and have it be the browser time zone. But I see your point about them mentioning the company thing.
yeah.
I'll
Because you mentioned that you did that a few times, so I would just not mention that the
at all. Yeah,
company. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
I would just say, oh, we could do this, and these are the trade offs, or we could do that, and these are the trade offs, and just leave it like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
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 just
yeah.
keep everything. Because imagine I'm telling you design Slack, and you just worked at Facebook, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this because we did this at Facebook, and we did this instead of you know what I mean. It doesn't sound as impressive as somebody who
Intelligent.
just
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because then it
And
just sounds like you're pattern matching based on experience, but we want you to figure things out from first principles because every single company has a different like
system. Yeah,
system, right?
yeah. That's fair.
What else should yeah. Okay, with the API points, that was pretty much it. I think yeah, with the event stuff, you defined the index, but it took a bit for you to define the index. So when you're describing the get request, when you're describing the database, you should don't forget about the index because yeah, if you didn't add an index here, if and then you ran your get request, it would have done a full table scan just to find things within that range for that
Yeah,
range query, right? So just make
yeah.
sure to handle that right away. And
So I
then
guess like
go ahead.
so with like because I've been following like the Hello interview stuff.
Mhm.
And there they usually say like, just get the first version of it out to meet the bare functional requirements, and then you'll like figure out how to scale it later and talk about that. Would you have preferred if I had said, "Hey, I know this is like technically kind of slow right now because we don't have any indexes and we're, whatever, but I can figure out like how we would scale this later." Would you prefer me to do that, or would you prefer me to, as soon as I make the database and as soon as I add the data model, then I should add the index immediately?
Yeah, I need to rewatch it what happened, but I think I mentioned I was like, okay, how can we speed this up?
Yeah,
And
you
then
said how to speed this up like after I put everything down.
yeah, and I think you were just sort of looking at the different like the way that you mentioned the index wasn't that oh this is I would have wanted to hear like oh right here it's gonna be slow because we're gonna do a full table scan so we should add an index. But I think let's watch back the tape. I think you were talking about some other stuff, and then you started going through the fields, and then realized to add an index there. So it was more just like it seemed like you stumbled along to add an index there, than just like.
Yeah, yeah.
But it should be more upfront that oh, like we're running this query, and it's gonna be slow, and then like work backwards from there. That's gonna be slow. Then maybe this might get overloaded. Then this might get overloaded. But I think in general, just like lead the conversation.
Okay.
At one point, you also added an index on the primary key, but that already has an index because
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
more
yeah.
that small thing. Um, yeah, I think you made a good decision on the read replicas, and you mentioned all the different approaches. One thing you said is like the B tree is a binary tree, but I don't think it's a binary tree. It breaks out into a lot of different
Yeah, I thought B stood for
branches.
binary. So that's why I just
Yeah,
I thought B stood for binary.
just make sure you don't say that.
All right, all
Um,
right.
So I think no, that's kind of it. I think you have like the general. Definitely work on your speed. This should
Yeah.
be 5 minutes. This should be another 5 minutes. APIs we spent like 20 minutes. This should be like 10 minutes, and then you should move along a lot faster. I
I
think you're
think
getting there, but yeah, what are you saying?
my question is like, dude, like I have a lot of trouble with getting the functional and non-functional requirements down if I have to come up with them. Is there like a way, like how do you blast through that like quickly? Like this is I feel like where the most slowness happens, and then I guess like this probably could have been faster too if we didn't like deal with that weird time zone stuff. But the functional requirements and non-functional requirements, I feel like are where I'm like super slow.
Mars in the building. Yeah. Related to just the functional requirements, one thing that I like to do is just imagine what the UI would look like, and then just start designing.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, I have this calendar. Okay, I kind of imagine it. Some people even just like draw it out quickly what the front end's gonna look like, but like, oh, I'm gonna have this weekly, monthly view. Then I'm gonna have some calendars, and now you can start thinking about it. Or if it's like design Yelp, like design anything, sort of imagine what the client front end is gonna look like, and then you can just start like listing out some features. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's one way. Another way is just practice is like your third or fourth only. So you're gonna get more. Non-functionals are always the same. You could just memorize how to shoot them out. Functional requirements are gonna change, but through practice and just imagine, like suppose I say design leak code, then what you should do is imagine leak code. Okay, there's this code editor here. Okay, then it should be able to give me a prompt. Okay, there's a place where you can write the code. Then you could submit. Like you just have to visualize the app in your head and then write out the functional requirements. That makes sense?
yeah, yeah. I think that makes sense.
Is
Yeah.
that what you did or no? Or do you do or not really when it
I
comes
was
to?
kind of doing that. I was kind of trying to imagine it, but I think I didn't explicitly say like, okay, like I'm gonna like take this pencil and be like, all right, man. So we have this calendar. This is how it looks like, and then you have like these events, and then you can click on the event, and you can also change like that. I was doing it a bit more
Yeah.
free form, I think.
Yeah. Like even if you did this, how long would that take you? Like 1 minute, 2 minute, or
Probably a couple minutes, yeah, max.
yeah. So like
I
if
did.
you and then you could always reference it. So I've seen candidates do that and I feel like it doesn't hurt. Like it at least helps you understand that they know what the U like they can figure out the UX. And then they could also reference it if they get lost. They could make sure that they look at the mock and then make sure that they handle all the features.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I think yeah, that's kind of the advice there. Let's try again on the weekend and see how you improve.
All right, bro. All
How
right, all
was
right.
that though? Did that make sense? Like the feedback and stuff like that?
The feedback makes sense. Yeah, it's like move faster, be more uh, crisp,
Yeah.
uh, and be more opinionated, and be less like of a sheep, I guess, when it comes to like talking about my past companies and and things like that. Yeah, um,
Yeah. Cause you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, will they care that you did it this way at a certain company or no? I don't know. If you're interviewing someone, they kept saying that, what would you think?
I'd be like, bro, like shut the hell up.
Bro,
I
I've
don't care.
had that before. Somebody who worked at AWS, like, oh, I'm designing it like this. In AWS, we do this. In AWS, it's like, bro, we're not working at AWS right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes
All
sense. Yeah.
right, cool. All
All right,
right,
man.
good
Thank you,
luck.
bro. I
No
appreciate
problem.
you, man.
All
Yeah.
right, man.
Thanks.
See
Yeah.
ya.
Let me know if you get up to something.
Yeah, for sure. Just go
All right.
study, and then we'll do this on the weekend. I'll hit you up again, and we'll do another one.
All right. All right. For
Okay,
sure. All
sounds
right.
good.
Later, man.
All right, peace. Yo, what up? What kind of mock interview do you want? Can Google see your Chrome search history if you apply? I think that would probably be like you keep getting rejected. Dude, I'm pretty sure that would be illegal if they use that. What have you been searching? Apply on incognito or something. Nah, I don't think they'll use data like that in order to make a hiring decision. I think that's illegal. You should look it up. That's pretty illegal. Yo, chat, how do you think he did? Yo, Ramen, I'll connect you to what you want to message him or something? Yeah, I'll give you his Add him on. I'll send you his LinkedIn and I'll tell him to reply to you. All right, let's do some code forces. Chat, what are y'all giving him? Okay, let's do this poll rating. All right, chat, what's the rating? Higher? Oh, shoot. What's everyone saying? Chat's lit right now. Damn, I got a lot of concurrence right now. Yo, let's see. Bunch of hires. Okay, everyone's given a pass. Being honest, chat, I don't know if I could have given it a pass because we didn't get to where we needed to get to. Chat, being honest, yeah, my final rating I wouldn't have been able to give it a pass. There's too much feedback. Yeah, too much feedback that you need to support your design with numbers, I think. I mean, in just general, the first thing, like, especially with their API design. For example, with the API design could have been improved a lot more. Like the API design was definitely not for like a senior level, especially they missed a few things related to the where they added the event ID, they didn't mention the query parameters. They include that path parameter. Like they had these two merged. I think with the recurring events, they didn't really get to a solution there. So I think those are the main things why I couldn't give a pass. For someone to pass this interview, I would make sure that they were able to handle all the functional requirements at a minimum. Yo, thanks for the gifted.
This is not my main thing, really, I'm a coder.
Caesar with the two gifted. All right, let's grind some like one more code. Let's do a little bit of code forces, and then we'll toss it. We'll call it. Yeah, I think there's a few things that could have been improved, but it's not like he doesn't have the ability to get to a higher. You have, I have a Discord. He definitely has the ability to get to a higher pretty easily. He just needs to clean up his whole thing. So come up with the functional requirements faster. Probably model the database a little bit better because he couldn't get the recurring events. With the non-functional, he should, oh, what the, like being able to talk about the non he mixed up the non-functional with the functional. So that was kind of a red flag. He just needs to clean that part up. API design needs to clean it up a bunch and just be more confident with his decisions, especially with things with the UTC. And yeah, the client server architecture, explaining the database indexing and all of that a little bit better. But yeah, he's close. I'll ask him a harder question on the weekend. All right, let's do one code forces question, then we'll call it. Added me on LinkedIn? Okay, I'll add you up right now. Chat, how's life? How's the job market? Okay, I added you up. Okay, when's the next? Oh, there's a Div 4 contest coming up on Saturday? Oh, perfect. Job market sucks. Yo, did you hear the last guy? He has interviews at OpenAI, Citadel, Anthropic, Jane Street. This guy was crazy. Yeah, Caesar, he had some crazy ones. So he has like on-site at Anthropic. Citadel's flying him out next week to New York. He has a few years of experience, but not that many, like only a few. Yeah, he has like OpenAI. He flopped his Jane Street, but he had that. Yeah, they do flyouts. They fly him out. So he's gonna be there for a few days, and they book his hotels, everything. And he has a few more, like some of the AI labs, like XAI, I think also. This guy's gonna get his next job is gonna be crazy. Yeah, Jane Street is harder, huh? Bro, I can't even get an interview at those places. Code Forces. Yo, there's a Div 4 contest starting. Okay, I'm gonna join this. I'm a CS student. Only one offer at as a data analyst. How cooked am I? Take the offer. Get experience. Build projects on the side. You're not that cooked. You still have a job. At the end of the day, this is a long journey. You might be working as data analyst one day. Yeah, that's still fine. You know, it snowballs quickly. First, you get a data analyst role, then all of a sudden, you get a SWE role. Like your first job doesn't need to just be SWE. All right, let's hit a code forces question. That was fun though. How do I avoid burnout? Somebody was asking in the chat. I don't know. I feel like to just probably hitting the gym, doing things outside of just software, or not outside of software because I do a lot of software, but just doing diverse things. So I would get burned out if I was just working on my job for 16 hours a day. That would burn me out. But then I try working on some other stuff. I'm feeling kind of hard to improve. What do you mean by that? What do you mean kind of hard to improve yourself? Like where are you stuck? I'm based in San Francisco. Yeah, chat, ask me anything. I'll answer some questions. Okay. Chat saying higher. Get us a setup tour. Man, my setup is just a MacBook Pro. I have a Keytron Keytron keyboard. Can you go over your dev setup, apps, tools, programs? I'm initially from Canada. Can you make a video? Are you blank? Are you from Toronto? Can you make a video about going over your dev setup, apps, tools, programs? Yeah, my dev setup, literally you could just have Claude Code these days. Claude Code literally. And then it depends if you're making like a full stack app, then the tech stack changes, but dev setup you could just use Claude Code. And maybe VS Code if you want to look at the files. Usually I use VS Code, but also mostly run like a terminal and put Claude Code. GitHub. I try to use Next.js, Postgres. Those are the classic ones. AWS, whatever. Yeah, I can go over that in more detail if you would like. How would you rate your experience at Rippling out of 10? I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Do you think CS is cooked? I'm Filipino. Do you think CS is cooked? No, I don't think CS is cooked at all. I think CS, like, what do you learn when you take a computer science degree? You learn how to talk to a computer. You learn programming. Programming, code, all of that is the language the computer speaks in. Is the same language that the AI is written in. The same language that the AI uses to when it's generating code. Like you're talking the same language as the computer. You're learning the same language the computer is learning and the computer executes. So when you study computer science, you learn all of these things that are very important and helps you ramp up. So the people who will be able to use the AI the best are probably the people who took computer science. And the people who are going to be able to debug the AI, see where the AI is going wrong, build the AI, manage the AI, keep the AI running. These are all people who took computer science degrees and understand and are technical. I wouldn't say computer science in general is the only thing you need to take is just being technical in general. Just become have good technical skills. Yeah, CS is cooked for those who don't try and put the effort. You have to maximize the skill you have, but also expose yourself to others and opportunity max pretty much. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you put in the effort, you'll get some reward for it. Everybody whoever puts in the effort is going to get something out of it. So CS is cooked for anybody who doesn't put the effort in. I agree. Because if somebody puts the effort with it, then they'll be putting the effort in making the AI do some crazy stuff. At the end of the day, you have somebody spending 10 hours prompting the AI and one person spent 30 minutes prompting the AI. And then who's going to have a better result? Probably the dude who spent 10 hours and then expand that over 5 years. Pretend you have 5 years of one guy prompting the AI 10 hours a day versus one person prompting the AI 1 hour a day. What is that person who did that for 5 years for 10 hours each day gonna achieve over that person who just used it 1 hour per day for 5 years? Probably way more stuff. So I think it's all about just putting the effort. I'm not in school. I graduated 5 years back. Okay, let's see what this question is asking. I don't know. What do y'all think? Is getting a sponsorship. It depends on what country you're from. If you're from Canada, it's a lot easier. Let's go to Rewind in LA and pop some bottles. I'm down. I'm down. What do I think about ICPC? It's pretty cool. Those people are really smart. I know some people who competed in those before, and they're always like crazy smart. Okay, what I was saying about sponsorship. Sponsorship, it really depends on what country you're from. Depending on what country you're from, it limits your visa opportunities. So you probably want to be from a country, or the best case scenario is you're from a country that has more visa options. So for example, I'm on a TN visa. So for example, Canada, it has more options for visa. Well, it has like the TN. Well, it just has a TN over everyone else, but the TN is pretty flexible, so it makes coming from Canada or Mexico easier to get into the US. But then other countries, you kind of need an H1B, and H1B is a lottery. You have to start at specific start times. It makes it definitely way harder. But then you could also come here for school and then do like a OPT or something like that. So there's multiple ways to do it. But essentially what you should do is just apply and then see where it goes. Or look up your situation and just chat GPT it. Oh, I'm coming from Europe, from France. What are my options for moving to US? And then see if you're able to hit any of those. No, I'm not really. I didn't participate in the H1B. I don't really want to get an H1B right now. Yeah, I work right now. I'm working at a big tech company. What are your thoughts on the tech scene? Yeah, yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts on the tech scene in Canada, in the US? Salaries in Canada are pretty rough for the cost of living. Yeah, I noticed that as well. So, I mean, if I move back to Canada, I'm at least taking like a 50% pay cut after converting, if you convert it to US. So it's a big cut. The opportunities are more limited. Thanks, bro. Yo, tens, what's up? Yeah, the opportunities are more limited in Canada. There's there's way less companies. The pay is less. So it just overall the best place to go if you want to work in tech is obviously Silicon Valley, Seattle, probably second, then New York. I would even say yeah, New York and Seattle are similar, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunities in Seattle as well, especially it's in Pacific time. I'm in Toronto and it's rough for a new grad pay here versus rent. 2.5 for a zero bedroom, 400 square foot shoebox. Yeah, that's even worse. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, New York has like if you're trying to date, New York probably has a better pool of people to choose from. 100%. I've been there just recently. People dress better, everything. So, if you're trying to date, I mean, go to New York, but I still prefer SF way more than New York. It's way less busy, easier to get into restaurants. The restaurants are good. The weather is way better in New York. The weather it could be terrible. It's also very expensive in New York. So I think the only thing that they have over us is probably the foot traffic. So there's more stuff to do. Like when you go out, you see a lot more people. So if you're dating, it makes it better for you if you're in the market. And then yeah, pretty much better foot traffic. How big of an impact does your appearance see? How big of an impact does your appearance make in your career, do you think? Do you think those who dress better are treated better, promoted easier? I think appearance is what can take you will help you in like leadership. So you'll never see like a VP who has a terrible appearance or can't even take care of yourself. But you'll see staff engineers who don't take care of themselves at all. You'll see staff engineers that don't take care of themselves at all, but they're just cracked at coding, right? So no, I don't think, bro. If you want to get promoted and you want to be an IC, just be very good technically, but also taking care of yourself is important because you need to be able to take care of yourself so that I mean you're healthy when you go to work, you have energy. You don't want to just be like out of shape, low energy, unpresentable. Do you know what I mean? Any comments on this statement? AI is making newbies harder to leave the tutorial hell. Man, I think I think AI should make it way easier for people to build their own stuff. Because before, without AI, suppose I want to make a to-do list app. I need a lot of information. I need to learn about React, all this stuff just to even get started. And then I need to keep referencing the document just to make progress. But now with AI, you could just get started right away. And then you could ask it questions and it could answer very specific questions. You could ask it, "Oh, how do I create a React component?" And then it just shows you. Maybe you can copy and paste that. And then you get stuck, you see some bugs. "Oh, how do I render state?" And you could just ask the AI. It should make it a lot easier for you to actually get out and do stuff. So I don't think AI is making making it harder for newbies to leave tutorial hell. I mean, in theory, it shouldn't. If it is, then the newbies are not looking at it correctly. As a junior developer, I want to study data structures and algorithms. Can you tell me the roadmap? Yeah, I'll send you a roadmap. I have a roadmap right here. Let me change this. Okay, let's look at the questions. Oh, I have to send you that video. There's a video that I made called How to Get Good at Leak Code. It'll cover everything you need to know there. I answered this question a lot. James, do you believe every CS student should be able to solve two-sum and palindromes? I think every student should understand how to use a hash map, and that question is one of the questions to test your hash map knowledge. Dude, being able to use a hash map comes a lot way more than people think. Being able to take a operation that's O of n and turn it to O of 1, that comes up all the time. So if you don't know how to do that, then I wouldn't want to hire you, to be honest. When it comes to palindromes, I think maybe not palindromes specifically, but understand how to write complicated logic, like having two pointers on different sides or two pointers moving along This is just it's more just like mental gymnastics of how to make a program do certain things. Can you make two pointers move with the same direction in testing different conditions? Could you make the two pointers move in the same direction and one moving faster than the other? These are just like little mental gymnastics that they're just putting you through in general. Yeah, I don't know. They should be able to solve that. Is it getting good at leak code worth it? I think it's worth it in general because I mean if you get good at leak code, being good at leak code is just I think it's important because it helps. I feel like it's a good proxy for problem solving skills. It's not a good proxy of how they'll do as a developer in general because there's so many things that go into being a good developer, but being able to take one problem, break down the problem, come up with multiple approaches to the problem, figure out bottlenecks and optimizations for a problem, code up the problem and test the problem. In That's just good basic skills to have. So I think it's a good way to test candidates. I've worked at companies that ask leak code. I have candidates that I've worked at companies that didn't ask leak code, and I had worked at companies that just strictly ask leak codes. And honestly, the talent at the companies that strictly ask leak codes were better. Hold up, let me grab some water. Yo, Blast, what's my workout split? Blast, did you see my latest video where I was showing off my gains? Let's see. I mentioned it a bit. I talk about my training regimen. Crab, what up? Man, everything happens for a reason. YouTube recommended this to you. It's a sign. Yeah, go watch the part where I talk about my training regimen. Do backgrounds care if you change your title like data analyst to data eng? I'm sure it would look weird if honestly all background checks, some of them are not that reliable. So some companies they might not have updated that you're a senior eng now. Because I've had some go back and just say that I was like a junior or something, but that was clearly not the case. Like I got promoted, but maybe they just didn't know or they didn't report that. So honestly, with small changes like that, that's fine. Most they're just checking that you actually worked at the company and maybe like if you said you're a software engineer and it just says data analyst or business analyst or something like that, then it would look off. But data analyst, data engineer doesn't really matter. Okay, you have Google interviews in 2 weeks. If you have Google interview in 2 weeks, let's put you through a coding interview and let's see how you do. What do I put as my title if I did research at school? I heard software engineer intern. You could just put like researcher, student researcher. Yeah. I forget what I put. Ask ChatGPT and tell me what it says and I'll pick it up for you. Wait, I'll ask ChatGPT right now. Am I a meta? Yeah. Okay, let me ask what type of. Here, I'll ask ChatGPT for you. Yeah, these are good. Like undergraduate research, student research, and you should also mention that it was funded by NASA. That's important. By NASA. Any of these good. Lunar, what's up? Do I start programming? Dude, it depends. You should. It depends on your goal. If you want to start low level, do C++. If you want to start building full stack applications, learn like JavaScript, React. If you want to learn more of the machine learning stuff, do Python. I would say the easiest one to get started is Python. Maybe do Python for a few months, learn the basics, and then just dig into C++. Like Python, C++ has pretty much all the stuff Python has and more. So you could just start with Python and then like go from there and just learn all the pointers, all the memory management, all that extra stuff that C++ has. So Python is just pretty much like English. James, I wish I could travel back to your debut so I can give you rose and dance at you. What do you mean, how does proxying work? At Mex, appreciate that. What's a prox? Like, what's a reverse proxy? Well, there's like multiple types of proxy. There's forward proxy, reverse proxy. It can proxy on your behalf. What's five algorithms you believe people should have mastered? DFS, obviously. The traversals, DFS, maybe BFS. The traversals are very important. Like, I don't know, sorting, any random sorting algorithm, DFS. It depends. Oh, I have a video on this though. I'll send it to you. Hey everyone. So I have this video called Top 6 Patterns for Coding Interviews. And I talk about the top 6 basically. So I said two pointers, sliding window, depth first search, breadth first search, backtracking, binary search. Yeah. I still agree with that. Yo, James, my recruiter emailed me today, gave me his number and told him to call. Then just call him. Is it just memorization of those algorithms? No, you shouldn't just remember it. You should be able to actually write it from scratch. You should have it ingrained in your brain. You should be able to do a DFS in 2 minutes. Why did I reject Bloomberg? Because I wanted to move to San Francisco. Bloomberg was in New York. I thought I just felt that Nova Credit was SF. Yeah, yeah. I just felt it was a. So I had I had three offers I think as a new grad: Amazon, Bloomberg, and Nova Credit, and maybe yeah. I think those were the three main ones. Amazon, I just didn't want to work at Amazon at all. I rejected that one right away. I was more just doing that for practice. Then I had Bloomberg and Nova Credit. With Nova Credit, it was an early stage startup. They just raised Series B, and I just thought that the opportunity was a lot better. I would learn a lot more. It was just a Series B company. I would be able to move to SF. It was a YC funded startup, Kleiner Perkins backed startup. So I just thought it was a better opportunity. Yo, Cyclops, what's up? And then, yeah. As an incoming freshman, should I be more focused on just self studying or going to hackathons and clubs? You should glitch. You should focus on both. So the way that I think about it is you should focus on both because hackathons and clubs are like competitions. So if you played any sport, suppose like you played basketball, like focusing on yourself is just going to the YMCA, training and stuff like that. You could train all day and think you're so good, but until you go out and face competition, you won't really know how good you are. And usually going to those competitions, you're gonna see where your gaps are. It's gonna push you harder. So if you should be training by yourself, then you go out there and put yourself out there. You compete with other people, you do competitions, you go to clubs, you see how other people are doing. So that's kind of the analogy I have when it comes to that. Yeah, I plan to maybe go back to Canada at some point. Yeah, I decided to take an early stage startup over Bloomberg, and offer was very, very good. I decided not to take it. I think it was like over 200 grand or something. So I took it was over 200 grand, and I decided to go take startup that was like 140. But I was like, at the time, I was like, I'm just gonna take whatever is gonna accelerate my career the fastest. Dude, the Bloomberg offer was crazy, especially in 2021. Like, go look up Bloomberg new grad offers, especially the ones who negotiate, because they kind of try to lowball you. But look at all the people who negotiated. They're getting like 50, 60, 70K signing bonuses in new grad. Do you know how robotics? How do you get your first internship? Man, first off, how many companies have you applied for? What does your resume look like? So I just need to know that as baseline. How do you get your first internship? Build your resume, submit it to 500 different companies. People are saying the market is cooked. Even when I was applying in 2021, they say that the market was good then. I applied to like thousands of companies. I maybe not thousands, I'm exaggerating, but I definitely applied to over 300 companies. For every company I applied to, I would message the recruiters. So if I was applying for Google, I would message like 20 recruiters. I remember messaging like 20 different Citadel recruiters. I would send out the application, then I would go on LinkedIn and find recruiters under that company and tell them that I applied. This team, damn, team matching is crazy. Can you review my resume? Here, submit your everyone, if you want to submit your resume, I don't know if I can go through it right now because it's late, but I you should anonymize it and then post it here. I'll do a resume review tomorrow. What time after work tomorrow? Maybe like 6 7 p.m. PST. How many projects should I have before I apply for internship? Man, you should. There's no glitch. People ask this question all the time. How many how many projects should I have on my resume? How many leak code questions should I solve? How many applications? Like, there's no exact number. You should you should always just have like you could have one project that's a really good project, and that's enough to get an internship. So what I would focus in on is not quantity but quality, and also marketing of that project. So find a project that build a project that is not just some clone of some other app that already exists, but maybe look for problems. Maybe, do you know anybody who runs a business? Look for problems you can solve for them. Do you just look around at your friends, your family, your acquaintances, the environment around you? Look for problems and build software that solves those problems. And then get those people who are experiencing that problem to use your software. Then right there you get users. So you should build software that has impact and not just software in the sake of just building random code. These days you could just use ChatGPT to prompt the AI to build anything. So it's not really about writing the code, but it's more about, can you find problems to solve, and then write code, build products that solve problems. That's what people need to do in this day and age. Yo, you have a Google onsite on Monday? Okay, go in the chat. I'm gonna have like my community manager start scheduling coding interviews with people this weekend. Chat, I have a community manager, and the community manager should handle like all of this stuff moving forward. Like, if you need to book with me, all that stuff. Wait, let me send. What's everyone saying? James, you get recognized when you're in office at in Meta a few times, and it's weird. Hey man, just got rejected from Palantir after recruiter call. Do you know what reasons may normally for this? Yeah, I would say when it comes to the recruiter call, I mean, they're just trying to gauge your fit. So maybe they just saw some signals where it wouldn't be a good fit. The times that I saw this was like, maybe I didn't show that much interest, or like sometimes it's at a startup and they're asking questions. Oh, are you ready to grind 80 hours a week? And then you realize that, and then you say you're not, and then they just don't move forward with it. Do you recommend I reach out to teams during this stage, or is it really dependent on the process? Yeah, you should reach out. You should reach out always. That's what I do. I make sure I always reach out. Yeah, drop it tomorrow around like 6, 7 p.m. I'll review all the resumes, just let them come through. Make sure that's redacted, make sure it's a non everything. Hey, if I want to get into quant dev roles, is it possible to switch into this field after graduating in big tech? Yeah, yeah. So the guy that I just interviewed just right now for he worked with me at Rippling. He's worked at a few like he and then he has an interview at Citadel. I know lots of people who have traditional computer science and Fang, and then all of a sudden they have Citadel interviews. That happens all the time. Should be good. Yeah, you should ask the recruiter. Ask the recruiter. If the recruiter's nice, they're gonna give you feedback. If the recruiter's doesn't is not nice, then that's trash. I hate recruiters like that. Man, I'm 28 and I've been in the field only 5 years because I graduated late. I've been work because I did a lot of internships. You can add me on LinkedIn. I did a lot of internships, so I pretty much graduated when I was like 22. So add me up on LinkedIn, everybody. You can see my work experience here. I'm down. I'm down. We're all gonna group in the same place for sure. Do they care about your GPA at that point and your uni once you have experience like that? Yeah, so what my friend who worked at Rippling, I don't think they cared about his GPA at that point. They just care about his work experience. And no, I know people who just had a decent GPA, didn't have to be a four, they didn't have to go do all this crazy stuff and got quant interviews. It's not you just need good work experience. Hold up, let me just grab something. Keep asking questions, I'll answer all of them. How's 150K USD base in Cupertino, California? Almost like poverty. Not even joking. What companies and position types? Okay, let's answer. Is 3.6 GPA okay? Yeah, that's decent. If you're in school, just try to max it though. Which intern job market is better, Canada or US? I would say US for the big companies that give you big bucks. But Canada has a lot of opportunities too, and they're local, and there's a lot less competition because you don't have to. With all the U.S. companies, everybody's there's just so much competition because you're competing not with just U.S. You're competing with like Canadians, and everybody's applying for that stuff. I disagree. I think GPA matters. I think GPA matters to an extent. Doesn't like if you have a 2.9 or some in the twos or even low threes, there's some companies that won't even interview you if you have that, especially the quants. They ask also, even Bloomberg, if you apply, it says, what's your GPA range? 2.9 to 3.3, 3.3 to 3.7, 3.7 to 4. You know what I mean? Dude, 150K base, you're not gonna be able to save that much money on 150K base living in Cupertino. I would say your rent is gonna be around 3 to 3.5 off 150K USD in SF. How much is take home bi-weekly? Okay, think about this. Yeah, yeah. No, there's no 1.5K there. Rent is gonna be over 3 grand. What is average apartment in South Bay? So where are you gonna be? Cupertino? Yeah, roommates exist for sure. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But then if you're like on an internship or something like that, it makes it a lot harder. So look, Cupertino, 3,100 to 3,400. That's what you'll get. And then off 150K rent or off 150K your bi-weekly is going to be from 37 to 3,900. So you add utilities. So what that means is like half of your money is going per month is going to your rent. So like one whole paycheck. So you have another paycheck to last you the rest of the month. And then that you could easily use up that money living there. So I would say you already lose half of your money to rent and then you use the other. So maybe per month you'll save like 1,000, maybe 2,000 max. If you save 1,000, 2,000 max, at the end of the year you only save 24 grand. So it's easy to blow all your money and it's very hard to save any money making only 150K. Does that make sense? I hope that was a good breakdown. What up? What up? Thanks for tuning in from Vietnam. Some good questions out here. Okay, chat. Let's see. Holy, is it still worth trying to become a software engineer in 2026 without a degree? Honestly, it's way harder now. I think being able to become a software engineer in 2026 without a degree was a thing of like that was like a 2018 to 2021 thing or maybe 2016 to 2021 thing. It's definitely not the case anymore. You can't really. because people with degrees aren't even getting jobs. So I don't think people without degrees it's gonna be any easier for them. And it was already hard for them. Okay, let me read this from top to bottom. Hello, James. I'm a second year student from Waterloo, and thanks to watching a lot of videos, I was able to land a. Oh, let's go! Congrats, man. This man was able to land a internship at DoorDash. Congratulations.
Cold beast mode, leak cold beast mode, leak cold beast mode, leak cold beast mode.
Yo, Alpha, what up? There are a lot of people still getting jobs. Honestly, I haven't seen it that much. All I see is people struggling to get a job, even though that they have degrees. The only people that I know are actually getting degrees, or sorry, they're actually getting jobs are bro, they're usually like people coming from the top schools. Yo, Alpha, the last guy I had on has an interview at Citadel coming up, Anthropic and OpenAI. So they're flying him out to Citadel, or Citadel's flying him out to New York, which is pretty crazy. They're flying. He's like my friend from Rippling, that YC founder guy. I think he was able to leverage his YC connections in order to get all these interviews. Oh, okay. They look for startup founders. That makes sense. Maybe yeah, that makes sense because it shows that the people. Damn, that's crazy. Okay, chat. This is what I'm gonna do. Ask the questions in this AMA. If you click because I lose the. So if you go on the thing that's pinned, I can look at everybody's what people are asking, and it'll be a lot easier for me to just make sure I don't lose any information. Man, there's a lot of questions, so I gotta do this a different day. Maybe I'll answer a couple more, but there's just a lot of questions. Emmanuel, what's up? Been a minute for sure. What's your what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the future for front end engineers? I think when it comes to any of these like roles, like front end engineer, back end engineer, I think they'll still be around, but the bar for it is just raising. So I think front end engineers are still important because they can use the AI to build really good front ends. I think just the bar is higher for the front ends that they should be able to develop. Before, front end engineer was just like, oh, that person knows React, so that person can use our React code. Now front end engineers would be, are they able to design a performant front end? Is the UI UX really good? Um, and all the things related to the front end. Are they able to build a good design system? Are they able to like build a scalable front end that like you know what I mean? Like the before I would say basically you should just be able to do what a senior front end engineer used to do, or that's the expectation now. If that makes sense. Do people use PRDs still in big tech? Yeah, people still do that. Are on-site interviews easier or harder than virtual interviews for Sui? I would say honestly, I would say that on-site interviews are usually a bit easier than the initial interview. Usually the phone screens they just ask some hard stuff off the bat for some reason. Any tips? Any tips on 2025 computational mathematics grad? I mean, that's a sick degree. I think you should be able to get a job. Yo, how many companies see your actual GPA? Your transcript only shows your letter grade for each course. Not every company is gonna look at your GPA. They're just gonna take your word for it. You should, yeah. Not every company is gonna look at, but I'm pretty sure I would include my GPA if you have over like a 3.5, 3.4, include your GPA. Most people include your GPA. If you don't include your GPA, then they're gonna think something's weird. How do companies see? Okay, what counts as experience? So what counts as experience on resume's first job? Yeah, I mean, what counts as experience? What counts as experience is um, like, did you do any research positions? Did you work for any professors? Those are like baseline. Did you do any research or did you get any grants? That's kind of baseline. Or did you work any unpaid internships, paid internships? Did you do any volunteering? All of that should be there. What's one plus two, three? Does GPA matter if you got a lot of experience? No, it doesn't matter anymore, but I don't know. I think, but also you have to think about it that a lot of these people hiring you also had a lot of the people at these big companies, m- a good percentage of them had a good GPA. And a lot of them are, yeah, for sure. Like if you work at a fan company, a lot of the people come from Ivy Leagues and stuff. And a lot of them also had decent GPAs. So a lot of them are also really care about school. So if they just see somebody with a low GPA, like I don't know, it doesn't really help your case that much. But obviously, when you get experience, it doesn't really matter. But if you're coming at a new grad and we have two people, and the person would have a 2.9, then I'll be wondering why do they have a 2.9. Then I'll look at their experience. If they're in all these clubs and doing all this other stuff, then it makes more sense. If it's just a 2.9, then I'll wonder why they had a 2.9. Like, were they not understanding the concepts? Because just think about it really. If all you did was focus on school and you had a low GPA, what does that say about your technical abilities? Or like what does that or what think about it from the interviewer's perspective. What would they think about that? Maybe they just don't think that degree is the right fit for you. Does inserting prompt injection text as invisible text in your resume help get positive responses from AI that analyzes it? Yeah, a lot of the chat is students probably. Does inserting prompt injection text as invisible text in your resume help get. Man, people have been doing this from time. People have been doing this for the last 6, 7 years. At the end, like yeah, like people have been doing that for the longest time ever. And I don't know if I don't think it helps. Some people say it does, some people say it doesn't. But what would you say are some tips for my internship this summer to maximize my learning opportunities next? Let me think. Yeah, a lot of the people are students, but those are a lot of people who are doing most of the people doing leak code and stuff are gonna be students, honestly. Yeah, send in your resume in the live thing. Yeah, I guess it's recruiting season because like usually it's not students here, so it's popping up. I pinned it. It's three. Yeah, 3.2 is fine. If you have time, try to get it up. 3.2 is fine. I mean, it all depends. Some schools are run it on a curve, so 3.2 is like the average GPA. Some schools don't even do curves, so people it's easier to get 3.9 or 4. You've been trying to learn Python. Do you have any advice for me? I mean, that's like a very general question. You should actually. Yo, what up, what up? That's kind of a general question. If you're trying to learn Python, if you just want to learn any programming language, just go in there and just study or just build software. If you want to learn Python, build Python applications, build a Django backend, build have it connect to a database. Like just keep building stuff in that programming language and you'll uncover more areas of the programming language. You'll figure out abstractions, cool neat features. You won't learn it won't click until you try it. James, okay. Let's see. Holy, it's popping off today. Y'all like these AMAs, huh? Usually when I'm just solving leak code questions, it's not this popping. I don't know much about that AI interview yet. I need to dig into that. What do you think about vibe coders? Okay, somebody asked me this question, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, a lot of resumes to review too. Holy, everyone submitted their. I got 8 resumes submitted now. I gotta add a section where you should add context. If you're gonna put your resume, add context because if you don't add context, then it's hard for me to review. Bro, I'm not a. Oh, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my friend who is a recruiter and we're gonna review resumes together. I'm gonna message him. I'll send him a message right after. Okay, so chat. Somebody said, "What do you think about vibe coders?" Where is this? I need to pin that. Okay, somebody said, "What do you think about vibe coders? Are they actually hireable? What do you all think? Would y'all hire a vibe coder?" I wouldn't hire a vibe coder in the sense of like somebody who just literally just goes off vibes and doesn't dig into it. I would hire people who leverage the AI and will use the AI and try to understand the AI and keep iterating on it. I don't know. I don't know if I'd hire just a straight up vibe coder, but I definitely hire people who love to use AI. Yeah. I'd rather honestly what I'd rather hire is somebody that I would hire is somebody who is very has very good fundamentals and is forward thinking as in they're not scared to use AI. They're more forward thinking and they're not like doomer about AI. They think of ways that they can use AI to speed up their workflow. They think of ways to use AI to automate things. And maybe not just AI in general, they just think of ways to automate and make their job faster. At the end of the day, you're a software engineer. You're building software. First off, you're building software, then you should be building software that builds your software. That could be AI or that could be through code gen, that could be through building good patterns and abstractions that help you just improve the velocity of your code. Because you don't want somebody who just codes and just keeps coding and just coding and pumping out. And every year they pump out 10,000 lines of code or the same number of lines of code each year. You want them to automate workflows and speed up the development, look for bottlenecks and speed it up. That's the kind of engineer you want at your company. As in you, Sui. I'm gonna look at this chat. We'll just like put up this chat like this and make it easier. I can just straight look at it. All right. It's 1 a.m. Need to sleep. Good night, bro. Oh, I can't do the resume reviews right now. There's too much stuff going on right now. What do you think about LARPing experience on the resume? Like adding technologies you haven't used? Bro, when you build your resume and tailor it to the company you're applying for. You're applying for an AI company, put all your AI projects, talk about Python, talk about the AI frameworks that you used. You're applying for a front end role tailored for that. If you just have a general resume with just everything you've done, all the languages you know, it's going to be worse than somebody's resume who's focused. Yeah, I'll do a resume review stream tomorrow cuz there's so many questions here already that I need to answer. Come by this weekend where? What did my resume look like before getting my first full-time job? Man, I if you want to see my resume, if you just want to see my resume in general, I'll put the link. Chad, if you want to see my resume, I upload on my website. You can literally like view it here and you can see my whole resume. I'll send that here. If y'all think it's interesting to see, chat, if you want me to make a specific video, go to feedback here and do like a video idea, like a video request. So if you think it's a good idea to, or if you want to know more about like or what my experience was for to get a job at like a fang or something like that, I can make a video on that. What do you think? Okay, wait. Okay, Handle King. Okay, this is better. What does day to day look like now since AI is doing all your coding? Yeah. I mean, now what does it look like? I basically try to generate 100% of my code using AI. That's what my day looks like. I pretty much talk to the AI. I talk to the AI to figure out to help build the design and then I look over the design. So for example, today I was basically build one thing that I was building is like we're working on like this thing to label. We're working on like a labeling platform. So we needed to basically take jobs from this or take items from this collection and get those jobs labeled, and we needed to see where that job was in the life cycle. So I had to implement the life cycle tracking. I need to see, oh, this job was created, now this job was in queued, now somebody worked on this job, basically life cycle tracking. So I would just go up. That's not really NDA. This you could talk at a high level what project that you're working on. But essentially, at what I was working on was basically I just used the AI, and I just said at a high level what I'm working on, not specifically. But anyways, what's it called? I just use the AI. I'm like, oh, I'm building this life cycle tracking. How would I model the database? Then it built me out a data model. I was like, okay, where are the different areas in the code where I would need to integrate some logic so it can update that and track the life cycle over time? Then I added that as well. So pretty much you just talk to AI, figure out what needs to get created, then you look it over, and then I was like, AI, go write that code and break it out into different diffs and PRs. And then I just went for a walk, came back, and it was done. That was the process. And you just do that every day. Oh, you need to build this front end feature, you need to build this experience, or you need to do this. I prompt the AI, it comes up with what needs to get built. I look over it, I make sure it's working correctly, then I run it, then I go for a walk. Yeah, I just prompt the AI, go for a walk. But like, but also one thing that I'll say is now with the AI, I'm working on like multiple projects at a time. So if I'm done with that, honestly, with the extra cycles, I'm actually spending a lot of time just like reading documentation and understanding the code base. So while the AI is running, I'm like reading documentation, reading the code, reading like workplace posts, or reading different docs that I wouldn't get the chance to if I was just heads down writing the code, like talking to people on the chat and everything. So like I find ways to fill out the time. Then I'm also working on a lot of AI enablement projects like on the side. So I think what it does is now you just have to work on multiple you I'm working on like multiple things at the same time. Yeah, I build things a lot in my spare time. But yeah, you need to like obviously babysit the AI, make sure it's working. It's working correctly. Yo, Paul, what up? Do you have girlfriend or girlfriends? No comment. The first program that I've ever I live in the Bay Area. Do you have let's see. Was programming confusing for you at first? Yeah, it was confusing. I didn't understand it at all. But then you just like even recursion and stuff, even after my first year recursion was hard. And then now it just clicks. But I know what it's like to I remember even with Python, I didn't understand all the syntax, and somebody was like pulling out syntax that I didn't even know exists, and I thought it was magic. So, yeah, even recursion, I remember doing like functional programming was really hard in my second year, all that stuff. I started programming in 2015, so it's been over a decade. I started programming only in university though. So I started university in 2015, and that's when I started programming. Yeah, things have changed. Things have changed a lot. Before, when I used to, before I would have to read Stack Overflow, I would have to just read the documentations. I would have to do so many. You would just have to do so many things that you won't have to do today. Now you just chat GPT, and you don't even need to leave chat GPT these days. You can just keep prompting it and prompting it until you find something that works. What year of college did you learn web dev? I would say in my fourth year. Man, it's a long journey being good at programming. Just keep working on it, just keep taking it day by day, and you're gonna get better over time. Yeah, I used to use Stack Overflow all the time. The funny thing is, back in the days, what's Alt F4? This guy's trying to get me to expose something. Yeah, that happens. Okay, let's see what people are saying. I don't know why companies tell you Stack Overflow was low key toxic. Yeah, the funny thing is, back in the days, probably 2 to 3 years ago, there were times where you try to solve something and it was just not solvable. You just can't figure it out. I mean, if you dug deep enough into the documentation and you figured out how the language was working, or you figured out like some syntax hidden deep in the documentation, you're able to get it to work. But like sometimes you'll just end up being like, oh, this is gonna take too long. There's no point in solving it. But these days with the AI, I've never ran into that case in the last like 1 to 2 years. I just keep spamming it until it figures something out. I just spam different AIs. I think this search has got better, and just I mean the response with the AI is good. Is functional programming really that hard? I don't think it's hard now that I have more experience, but it was hard when I first started. What do you think is the best AI coding agent? The best AI coding agent is definitely Claude Code, but that's the only one I use. I run Claude on dangerously skip permissions all the time. What was my GPA? 3.8 or 3, yeah, 3.8 or 3.9, I forget. 3.8 maybe. Nah, yeah, 3, nah, was it 3? I don't even know. It's it's probably there on my resume. 3.8. I still keep it on my resume. Yeah, I don't even know. Grok? Who uses Grok these days, man? You gotta be rage baiting. How's your GPA so high? My GPA in my last like 2.5 years of school, I got all A's. I got like one A minus. Like my GPA was like I actually tried hard in school. I was pretty try hard, not gonna lie. Is it worth still learning all the fundamentals of programming with AI being so good now? Yeah, 100%. Why would it not be? You need to be able to think of things from first principles, solve problems from the ground up, fundamentals is how you get anything done. How are you gonna verify the output of the program? Yeah, man's rage baiting. Could you explain first principles? I always hear that. There's a lot of videos on what exactly first principles are. People have different ways of explaining it. I the way what I mean is just being able to think of things from the ground up, from like the most like fundamental pieces and work your way up. So, for example, if I ask you why is why is this algorithm O of 1? Can you explain it from the most fundamental pieces and work your way up? How much do I pay for AI a month? Man, I like all my subscriptions, I'm probably dropping like 300, 400. Yeah. So for example, I'll tell you how to not think in first principles. I think the last candidate I had, he was not thinking in first principles because he's like, "Oh, in my company, we usually do this and that's why I should do this," or I read from here. That's like second principles or like third principles. You're making decisions based off knowledge that someone else taught you, or based on like what someone else said. That's definitely not first principles. First principles is would be like, oh, we did that, or we should do this because this is how it behaves under the hood, and if we do this, we get this trade off. If we do this, there's this other trade off. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, "Oh, I worked at this company, we did it this way, and this is how we should do it," or "I've seen this reading this article, and that's how we should do this." That's definitely not first principles thinking. That's kind of like thinking based on analogies or based on it, things you've seen, experiences. Dude, there's videos on this though. Go watch these. Like, what is first principles thinking? How do you think that way? To think in first principles, you just gotta train it. To think in any sort of manner, you have to train your brain to think like that. To think in a way, to think like a technical person, you have to work on technical problems, and it'll train your brain to be technical and break things down in a technical manner. Yo, John in the building. Think less, do more, and hope for the best. Who's the most cracked programmer I've ever met? I would say this one guy that I worked at when I was working at Nova Credit. I was working with this guy named Luis, and he was just a crack programmer out of his mind. I'm down, John. Maybe not today because I'm tired, but basically, yeah, this dude was cracked out of his mind. One thing is, he was just a grinder. He was grinding. I was grinding hard, and he was grinding way harder than me. And I could just not even grind as close to as hard as this guy was grinding. And then also it seemed like he was just an encyclopedia for just it seems like he just read every single documentation there is and understood it. And when he wrote code, he just knew exactly what to write in the most optimal way based on the libraries. So it's kind of like he read all of the APIs, and when he was writing, he just knew exactly what to write. And then he was just like very thorough in his code reviews. He had very good UI UX. He knew how to do backend. He knew how to do infrastructure. This guy was literally ChatGPT before ChatGPT came out. That was the best engineer I ever had or ever seen. No, I'm not doing resume reviews today. I'm just doing ask me anything. I can do resume reviews. No, I'm just doing ask me any. I just want to talk right now. Somebody asked, "Do you recommend doing a second bachelor's to get your master's to fix your GPA at 3.4?" No, I wouldn't recommend doing a second bachelor's. If you whatever GPA you got, you get it, and then just find a way to land a job from there. We used to go to war, and now we have grown men talking about work-life balance. So somebody's asking, what did your work-life balance look like in college? How did you balance getting good grades, internships, social life, staying healthy, etc.? Yeah, honestly, you can do all those things at once with the right time management. I think just if you can avoid doom scrolling, if you could be efficient with your time, if you could plan your day and work on high leverage tasks, you could achieve everything. So in college, I had a good social life. I still went out with friends. Like I would go out on the weekends. During school, in school days I would stay late to like 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. some days. But then if there was something to do, I would still find the time to do it. It's all about just balancing. Then I would find time to hit the gym. Really, you could just it's all about time management. Like right now I'm able to work a lot. I'm able to do this YouTube. I'm able to have a social life still. I'm able to hit the gym and get lean. Like it's all doable with the right time management. But like how do you not get burnt out then? How do you not get burnt out? I think you just get burnt out by doing for me, I don't get burnt out because I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm doing not just when I get bored at work, then I go hit the gym and I come back and I do YouTube and then I go hang out with friends. Like it's about if you work for 16 hours on the same thing, I think you would burn out. How much do you care about sleep? I care a lot about sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things. I try to make sure I get 7 to 8 hours, and I don't never compromise on that. Are you the most cracked in your job? No, not really. There's people who are more cracked than me. I would say I'm probably a little bit above average for my experience, but there's more people more cracked than me. But it depends. I think I have like least amount of experience most of the time when I'm working at a company. A lot of times people have a lot more experience than me, so it's hard to compare apples to apples. Like when I was out working at Rippling, everyone on my team had more than 10 years of experience and I had 3. So, how do you feel about Georgia State online masters to fix GPA and go for quant? I think it's a good idea to get a master's in general. I wouldn't take a master's to just fix a GPA. I would take a master's to learn something and maybe get good projects under my belt. I wouldn't just use it to fix the GPA. I'm working at Meta. Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't get burnt out because I spend a lot of time, like I make sure to take care of myself when it comes to sleep, eating good, and and also hitting the gym. So I don't feel like I'm burning out, and I feel like it's very hard for me to burn out. But I also think I have a higher work. There's people who are smarter than me probably at my work, but I feel like when it comes to work capacity, I have a high ass work capacity. I don't. I've met people more talented than me, but I haven't met many people who can work longer hours than me or work harder than me. Maybe Alpha is one person, but I don't see that many people that often. And like a lot of the times in my performance reviews, I like all my managers would say that I have a really crazy work ethic. Sakshi, what's up? Appreciate you. What is best platform? LeetCode or Code Forces? I have a video on this. LeetCode and Forces. Did I say I'm doing resume reviews? I didn't say I'm doing resume reviews on this. It says ask me anything. Do I take Adderall? No, I do not take any performance enhancing drugs. I just take I just take creatine, protein. Honestly, I don't even know many people who actually take Adderall to grind. I thought I would see a lot of them in Silicon Valley. That's what they say, but maybe people are taking it low key, but I don't really see it. I'm not going to specify any if I've like what are like I'm not going to say if I've or I'm not going to say on stream if I've took any drugs, but I'm not a saint. In my opinion, the future of software engineering will shift much more heavily toward both pre-training and post-training. When you applied at Rippling Meta, did they ask and care about your GPA? I don't know about if they asked or cared about my GPA, but I put my GPA there. Yeah, I don't think they care, but I had my GPA there. Do you generally code at work or use AI for all your workflows? I use AI as much as I can. I use AI for writing code, and I try to build like cron jobs and automations that use the AI to automate tasks for me. So I have AI that's giving me a briefing on what my team is doing. I have an AI that's just like giving reviews to my teammates at a high level. I have AI that's like I try to automate a lot of things with AI. Like I build certain like AI tools that operations could use so they don't have to start asking me so many questions. So I spend a lot of I probably spend like 30-40% of my day prompting the AI to do stuff. And then I also spend another 60% using the AI to automate other things in my job. Biggest advice to get into Fang? Bro, the I think it's getting into Fang is all about luck. You don't just there's not that much advice to getting into Fang. There's only 4 or 5 Fang companies. If they reach out to you, that's cool. Meta just reached out to me honestly, and then I applied and got the job. I've applied to them before. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get an interview before. So yeah, you just pretty much just apply. You get an interview. It's all about luck. There's only 5 or 6 companies. That's why all the time people keep telling me that their main goal is to get into Fang. I was like, why would your main goal be into Fang if it's all about luck? Your main goal shouldn't be something that relies on luck. Your main goal should be something that's measurable and that's actually achievable. Like you can set, yeah, I want to work at Fang, but then just think about what are the things you need to get into Fang. You probably need to get good at leak code. You probably need to build a good resume. So focus on those things. And if you get into Fang, you get into it. If you don't, then you don't. It's all about luck, honestly. Can you do a video series how to use AI? Yeah, I can show y'all how I vibe code if y'all want to see that. Hop on my website and drop it on the feedback. You can go to feedback and ask for video ideas so I don't forget. Damn, I've got a lot of resumes. Chat, when you send your resume, make sure you give me context so I can review it properly. Man, I get a lot of reach outs. Yeah, John's probably a top vibe coder because he's able to actually build stuff without actually ever coding. Like he never really learned to code. You think Swedes will become glorified PMs? I don't know. I don't think Swedes are gonna take over the role of PMs. PMs are just PMs are they think in a different way. They went to business school. They're doing SWOT analysis. They're thinking in much different ways than software engineers. Software engineers spend a lot more time thinking about the technical stuff, and product managers think a lot of more about the product stuff and how it fits with the industry, how it competes with other products. They still they still think about different things, honestly. Software engineers are thinking about, oh, like a lot of technical details, and I think that's important. Software engineers still need to focus on all those technical details, and there's gonna be SWEs, there's gonna be PMs. I don't think that's gonna go away anytime soon. Joining big tech next month as a junior developer. They use AI heavy. They use hey they use heavy AI for coding. I think, yeah, if you're scared that AI is gonna slow your learning, it's not gonna slow your learning. If you spend enough time, I think it's all about what you get in. At the end of the day, what you get in is what you get out, even as due day of age. If you spend 8 hours of prompting the AI and reading the output, making and then like iterating on the output to make sure it has the best output, you're gonna learn more than somebody who only spent 1 hour trying to do the same thing with the AI. AI is not, honestly, AI is gonna make things way easier to learn. Right now, AI is just making it easy to learn anything because it's like a targeted tutor. Whatever you need to learn, whatever you need to learn about the code base, whatever you need to find in the code base, you don't need to go ask a senior engineer. You could just ask the AI. A lot of times you could even ask the AI to just and like look over somebody else's like PRs and tell you what they did instead of you having to go out and ask them. All right, chat. It's almost 11, so thanks for tuning in, man. We got through a lot. I'll handle these resumes a different day, but yeah, that was a lot of questions. Caesar, welcome back. I'm losing my voice. What did you focus on grinding in your undergrad? Honestly, when I was in my undergrad, I was trying to like build a startup, so I was focused a lot on that. Then I was just trying to grind out GPA. I wasn't really grinding leak code and stuff. I was trying to grind out GPA, then I was trying to grind out like starting a company. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Tens, CF has been good, but one great advice for junior. What is junior? Second year, third year? What is junior? Man, I haven't been able to even grind code forces. Man, my advice for anyone in school is don't be a doomer. Don't worry about what's happening at the market or what everyone's saying. Just focus on yourself. You understand what's going on better than anyone else because everyone's situation is different. So just be optimistic and work hard. You should make it. Junior Swees, man, my advice to anybody is just if you want to be good at something, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the effort, you have to focus on it. Like what you do day to day might change, but focus, attention, hard work is always going to stay the same. And I know it sounds cliche, but that's just how, like, hard work is the only thing that's static. Everything else is going to change. All right, everyone. Catch you on the next stream. Peace out.
This is not my main thing, really I'm a coder. Coffee stains and name chains, I am such a loner. San Francisco bases got me slowly taking over. I can't wait to show you that I'm gonna take it over. Lico, beast mode, 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 Lico, beast mode. This is not a main thing, really I'm a coder. Coffee stains and nipple chains, I am such a loner. San Francisco bases got me slowly taking over. I can't wait to show you that I'm gonna take it over. Lico, beast mode, 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 Lico, beast mode.